Welcome to Buckets, coming from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, and the Pacers are up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Joining me to break it down, talk about where the market is at, gets ahead of where the market's going to move, is Michael Fiddle, the market mind reader. I have to come up with a nickname for you. I'll work on it. The market maestro, something about predicting where the market's going to go. His Twitter handle is @FiddlesPicks. He's in the Action Network app as well. He hosts the Advantage Sports Betting Podcast. I'm always like, the betting advantage? No. It's Advantage First. Advantage Sports Betting Podcast. And a YouTube show every day, or a Twitter show every day at @FiddlesPicks that breaks down the market in detail. If you like the show, you'll love that one as well. We will talk about this programming for the weekend. Saturday morning at noon. Not noon. It's not morning for on the East Coast. It's morning for me. Noon on the East Coast on Saturday. Brandon Kravitz and I will give you best bets for Pacers-Knicks Game 3 in Indiana. We'll talk about those tonight. Guess what? I've already bet it. You'll never guess if you've been watching the show what I'm betting. Then at 5:30, it's Fiddle and Kravitz and me, and we're going to talk about pregame bets for Wolves-Thunder Game 2. And we'll give those, and then post-game, Fiddle's on with me again to break that game down. No day shows on Sunday, and then Sunday night, 10:30 Eastern, Future Jays, which you're going to want. It'll be after the game, not 10:30 Eastern. You'll want to join either way because Joe Delera has to be on that show after the Knicks game. So it's worth coming on by because either he's going to be like, we're back, baby, or he will be his usual plucky, sad self. That's the thing about Joe I like, is that even when he's sad, he's able to laugh at himself. That's why Joe is the absolute best. Fiddle, market reaction tonight. This move towards Knicks, this move towards over, and we get Pacers and under in this one, correct?
Yep. 0 for 2 in market efficiency. We'll hope it corrects for Game 3, that's for sure. I was saying in the pregame stream that we did that there was really no buy point for me in any of the prices. You know, you already said you bet a side in this game. Well, you didn't say what you bet, but I happen to know it. And I bet a total in this game. So early reactions and early market, the market reopened with Knicks plus 1.5. So if you look at like what home court advantage is worth throughout the playoffs, I think it's a really important note to know that the value of home court advantage shrinks throughout the playoffs. So that's why this number might have opened a little lower than expected. We also had a large desperation price in Knicks Game 2. Now going on the road, I mean, it might be a little bit of defeat once you understand the trends backing these conference final situations. But yeah, it's an under spot and a pacer spot. That 1.5 is being drawn out to now a consensus 2 and 2.5 starting to show up, and that 224.5 was the open at DraftKings, MGM, Caesars, pretty much across the board. That's coming down as well. So, Matt, you also said in the pregame stream 222 was your model number for this game. That's where I think this Game 3 is going to close. So any number above like 223.5, 223 is probably still good. I love the 224s on the board right now towards the under.
Yeah, the 1.5s I think are already gone. It seems like they're already off the board.
Yep.
I got 2 at 2 different places. So I did bet Pacers -2. Yeah, even bet. Here's the definitive one. Bet Rivers is -2. And if Bet Rivers is -2, then it's -2. I grabbed it immediately. The consensus in the market is already 2.5. DraftKings has already moved to -2.5, -108. So they're heading that way. Where do you think this ends? Where do you think this line stops at?
I think it's probably 2. I would love, personally, I'll be looking Knicks, but I would love it to get to 2.5, 3. Like if I got a 2.5 plus 110 right now, I'd probably, create a little starter position. It just popped up at Fanatics, but I don't really bet there. If it shows -110, I'll start something and then hope that it gets to 3 and continue to build. But I would imagine some Knicks money comes. Like it's a little reactionary. We've seen these in some of the games. Like the first action is often what follows what just happened. So that's not surprising to see in this spot. But I do think there will be some Knicks desperation, back on the ropes type of sentiment. Don't forget, The Pacers have dropped game 3 in all of their series so far. They went up 2-0, albeit at home against the Bucks, and then lost game 3. And then sadly, Dame got hurt in game 4. They had the 2-0 lead at Cleveland and then came home and got kind of clobbered when Cleveland really showed up for the alone time in the series. So I'm not saying the Knicks win the series. I definitely don't think they buck the trends here, but I am going to be looking for Knicks in a rebound spot for game 3.
After, let's see, in the conference finals on the road, down 0-2. Since 2003, those teams are 6-9 straight up, 7-8 against the spread, 47%. Let's take, actually, that's after round 1 in whole. So if you're down 0-2, 6-9 straight up, 7-8 ATS. Let's look at them and see what it is in the conference finals, shall we? Because that will also include the finals.
Our guy Mike Weisberg says 2-0 in the conference finals are 76-6. And I know if a team is up apparently in the comments, if a team is up 2-0 in the conference finals, they're 76-6.
Oh yeah, that's
I know the one is if it's the road team that took 2, they're 17-0.
Yeah, I think that's probably also the series too. Yeah, 17-0 is the series number for teams that go up 2-0. In the conference finals, if you're down 0-2 on the road, 2-6 straight up, 3-5 against the spread, over 6-2 in those games for what it's worth. The two outliers in this situation, the ones that won outright, were the Celtics with LeBron coming back against the Cavaliers, or the Cavaliers against the Celtics. No, I'm sorry. This is the Celtics against the Cavaliers. They went down 0-2, and they won game 3 on the road in Cleveland in 2017. And then in the bubble, the Celtics versus the Heat went down 0-2, but that's the bubble, so there's no home court advantage here. So I will give my take real quickly on why I bet I want to get 1.5. Missed it. I got the 2. It's now 2.5 consensus in the market. I make this 3.3. There's zero reason for me to think that this should be anything like. I've been off from the market. I did not believe that the New York Knicks should be favored by more than a point in this series. I bet the Pacers in both spots. That doesn't mean that they couldn't have won. They could have won. These games were close. The other thing I would say, as far as like these the 2 previous series, I think Bucks was like a weird one. Pacers are good for like a game where it's like, what were you doing at some point in the series? Probably. I don't expect them to get both. And game 3 is probably the more likely one that they lose. The Cavs one was they got everybody back healthy and it was batting down the hatches. The problem was that they put too much into that game, and then the next game the Pacers were like, all right. I also just think the Pacers are I just think they're better, man. I just think that they're a much better team. I think they are a demonstrably, considerably better team. So I will look and check out what my playoff prices for this are going to be. With the total, we like the under here. That got home. You were kind of leaning a little bit towards the over if it had gone too far the other direction. Did you want to play in that, or did you stay away?
No, the only thing I played was literally 0.1 units. Josh Hart's triple-double. I got a sprinkle in there. It was ugly for Josh Hart.
Yeah, well, I mean, props were killed. The one that drove me most nuts is Nesmith had 4 rebounds in 1 quarter and then ended with 5. And
wow.
Like that's really annoying that he got 1 more the entire. I'm sorry, even it was 7, but yeah, that was tough. He just like piled up a bunch of rebounds in the second quarter and that got him over. Josh Hart finishes with just 6 rebounds. So I am surprised at that, but it does seem like they just really believe in this Mitchell Robinson thing, which I'm kind of like, guys, this is a very selective type thing that you want to do. Miles McBride failed for me on the over 1.5 3-pointers made. That one was rough, and Bridges goes only 2 assists. Bad night for me on the props. Got the side in total, and on that got side money line in total. So the things I usually bet, I was pretty good on. Are you of the opinion? So you just think that there's going to be an overreaction, and you think that moving towards Pacers is an overreaction based off of the first 2 games?
I don't think it's necessarily an overreaction. I think it's probably a correct readjustment in some power rankings here, and then the switch of home court, and then it's also you're moving through less valuable numbers. The 0 in basketball I call it the phantom 0 because it just simply doesn't exist. It's on the number scale when you're like thinking, oh, how many points did this line move with home court advantage, and it switches favorites, but it doesn't count as a number in an NBA integer. So I think the move is right. I understand this. If it gets to 3, Matt, that's when I say it's an overreaction. I also think it's one of these things where once we see the limits start to rise, the action is going to be louder. And the people who are betting the biggest might wait for their price if they're seeing some early Pacers steam. So if a 3 comes, I expect that to get taken out pretty quickly. But 2.5 might be the right price.
I would agree there. I think I don't think that I'm not going to upgrade or downgrade either of these teams off of the first 2 games. It's pretty much been what I think it should be. Like the Knicks, I had favored by less than a point. The Pacers were dogs of more than a point. They covered and went outright because if you cover as a small dog, you're likely to win the game outright. So I feel like I have confidence in my power ranking on these teams, even though I just adjusted Thunder and Wolves. So I feel pretty good about this. If you're looking ahead, there are already markets they're going to be looking towards Thunder Pacers that are out there. So you can start shopping for those numbers. I will tell you that based off of what I make those series, Thunder Pacers, I make Thunder minus 514 versus the Pacers. So I'm almost guaranteed to be on Thunder in that series. It is what it is. So
Matt, can I ask you a question? When you say you make it Thunder minus 514, are you flipping that and saying that's true odds and Pacers should be plus 514 Vigless?
Yes.
Or do you, yeah?
Vigless. Okay. Vigless, it's minus 514.
Okay, so that's important because I saw the prices come out and it's Thunder minus 600, which starts to include some of that Vig, but still, I mean, it should be beyond that because the downgrade to the Pacers is immense. But the look ahead prices had minus 600 in that series.
OKC over Pacers is now minus 195 at FanDuel via David Martell. That's a good price. I think based off of based off of what I've got it at. I also have like odds for both of those teams to get there, which I will have to update the outcome of this game in order to accommodate that. And I'll work on that and get an idea of where that's going to be at. Are you going to anticipate? Do you think there's going to be a buyback on the Knicks do you think that 3 is going to be the war point where if it gets to 3, the groups will come in and buy it at 3?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think the 3 will be there at tip off, if that's for sure. I'm hoping it flashes there. And if not, I'll be on the Knicks at 2.5 by tip off if it doesn't flash to 3. But the value of waiting at the screens all day is saying maybe this comes up at 3 somewhere and I could get some good value. And that's the hope. You said you had the number at 3.3. I have it at 1.6 for the Pacers. So that's why I'd be willing to also still play it at 2.5. And I have to factor in the desperation a little bit. I don't think the Tibbs team, the Tibbs mentality, and this group of guys is going to feel defeated, right? So there's some other teams, the Warriors, when they lost 2 in a row, I mean, they won the first one, but then it's 3-1. And they go back to Minnesota and they're on the road and they have no Steph Curry. Like that's a moment of defeat where they didn't cover that spread. Here's a spot where I think the Knicks could rally a little bit, kind of like the Cavs and the Bucks did. And then it would probably be Knicks game 3. And if that bet hits, you can almost double down on Pacers game 4. It's not like a heavy Knicks over Pacers stance. I would imagine myself betting Pacers game 4 in that scenario. And in game 1, when the Pacers had a crazy comeback, I was annoyed because I was like, I wanted Pacers in game 2, but I didn't think I would get the right, see the right action for it. And I didn't want Knicks to be the desperate side. So I'll be looking Knicks game 3, Pacers game 4.
Based on current probabilities that I've got, I make Thunder over Pacers minus 309. So I'm going to bet once again, OKC over Pacers minus 195. I've been betting it pretty consistently. I'll bet it again. I understand why that number is still what it is, but it feels like it's still a good price to me at FanDuel. Props will be interesting off of this game. I thought this was a really fascinating kind of game script because the Knicks didn't dominate. Like if the Knicks dominate, they are going to win on the glass and they're going to do all the stuff that we've kind of talked about, how they should have all these advantages. Indy won fast break points 14-7. They won bench points 21-11. They won points off of turnovers 17-12. Pretty low mistake game. Those are pretty low figures for both teams.
Yep.
Second chance points, the Knicks beat them by 6, but it just wasn't enough. I have consistently felt you can't make the entire plane out of offensive rebounds, and we were kind of seeing that happen here. And the Knicks only got 10. Like the Pacers are still doing a pretty good job of getting to these. They shot 52% from the field and 43% from 3 in this game. Like the Pacers are shooting the lights out, and they're executing, and they're getting where they need to on the floor. The Tibbs did make some adjustments tonight. He went to more switch versus Tyrese Halliburton. So that's one of the reasons why Halliburton had 14 points on 16 shots in this game. Now, he was cold-blooded late versus Brunson. I can't believe they let him get that assignment. They let that switch happen. They should have not done that. But he was 5 of 16 from the field. He did have 11 assists because Hallie's pretty much like automatic with the transition stuff to get there. Only 1 turnover again for Tyrese Halliburton. But he was a -2 tonight, which I think is kind of interesting. I will probably be on Halliburton under on points in game 3 because if the Knicks are going to switch everything, that does not play into what Halliburton wants. Halliburton wants a moving defense he can manipulate. When you just switch everything, that's where Pascal Siakam went off, and he had 39 points. Now, I think the Pacers can win this game with defense because I do actually believe their defense is pretty good, even though they gave up 48% from the field, 34% and 109 to the Knicks. Like their defense to me, they get into guys, they are contesting, they are flying around. They've been really good, I think, in those spots. So I'm generally pretty good on that. John Lynn says, Pacers are now 7-2 straight up as underdogs in the playoffs this year. That'd be the second best win percentage, minimum 3 games for any team in the last 20 years. So I actually want to, this is for us in particular, like whatever the rating is that is being used is incorrect. And they have been reticent to. Now, some of this is that the hold, right? So Knicks are going to have a bigger hold in the futures market. Like they're going to have a significantly higher hold in the futures market, and they're a public team. Like,
and they
I
had
don't know if
home
that's enough
court,
to influence it.
Right? If we opened home court in Indiana, they would have been the favorites to start. But also baked into that 7-2 stat, I mean, is 3 comebacks where they're down 9, 7, 8 points with a minute left. So, I mean, there's some anomaly to that you can't really hold on to that much. I do think the Pacers, because the way they play, are more apt out of any other team in the league to draw up one of those scenarios. The other team is going to be tired and gassed out. I wasn't surprised that OG and Towns missed the free throws. I'm not surprised that AJ Green missed the free throws in some of these spots, but because the Pacers will gas you out throughout the game. So in 47th to 48th minute, they're exhausted, but it's still 7 point, 8 point, 9 point comebacks in a minute left. I mean, you flip 2 of those and it's 4-4 or whatever it is, and it's still a good record where it'd probably be plus money because they're straight up as underdogs.
I think, and I think where I kind of end up on that is I'm like, yeah, no, they underperformed, and then in the end they evened out because that's where they should be. That's where they should be.
I mean, they made 7 straight threes. There is variance out there, right?
Hey, listen, man,
the Pacers have been fantastic, but variance has also gone their way.
I lived through Fred VanVleet.
Exactly.
That's sports.
Well said.
Sports at this point.
Well said. He must have had a few
Lynn says teams who trail at the half are now 50, 23-1 against the second half spread in the playoffs, including 15-2 second half ATS since May 9th. Holy, it's a great stat, John. He says, I've been blindly betting Indiana to lose the first half and win the full game. That's awesome. That's terrific. We went the other way. We went Knicks first half, Pacers full game. And so we got it wrong on that one. I'll take that one forward into buckets for game 3. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that probably this will catch up to the Pacers at some point. It's just like it's going to catch up to the Pacers against a good team. And the Cavaliers, I don't think were in a position to be the good team that they were. I think they were a good team, and they were injured and got caught off guard and made tactical errors in coaching. You know, Bucks obviously in a lot of disarray. And then, you know, this Knicks series, this one I just really think is like, yeah, they faced a team that was even more of an outlier because they came back 4 times down 20.
Yep.
So, you know, that's where that goes. Pacers shooting has just been phenomenal. I mean, their ball move, but they're also like they are creating great rhythm, and it'll be really fascinating to see in the finals. And this will be like the big talking point: is OKC so good at taking away your rhythm and making you miss open shots? Can the Pacers still create that versus the Thunder? And my guess is no, but should be an interesting question now that they're up 2-0. And again, teams up 2-0 in the conference finals after starting on the road are 17-0 all time via whowins.com. All right, that's going to do it for Buckets postgame. Appreciate you guys joining us here on the postgame show market report. Tomorrow, we'll let you know where the money is continued to come in, and then we'll do this again and react to it all on Sunday night. 3 shows on Saturday, noon, 5:30 Eastern, postgame. Come check us out. Give us a like and subscribe. Hit that button right now. Hit it. Hit the button right now for me. Do the thing for me on the and hit the like and subscribe button. Follow Michael Fiddle on Twitter at FiddlesPicks. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.